The crash of glass on the marble floor echoed through the restaurant like a gunshot. Nia Carter's tray toppled, champagne flutes shattering in sparkling arcs. Her knees buckled beneath her as the world blurred, exhaustion and shock colliding. Around her, the hum of soft jazz and chatter froze. Every eye in Mary's table paused mid-conversation, watching the young black waitress collapse among shards of broken glass. She clutched at her chest, gasping, as if the weight of the world had finally caught up with her. And then he stepped forward. Ethan Kwon. His presence was magnetic, terrifying, and yet impossibly compelling. The rumor of the feared Kwon heir, the one whispered about in dark alleys and corporate halls, walked straight toward her. His eyes, sharp and gray like storm clouds, landed on the photograph that had slipped from Nia's apron. It fluttered on the floor, corners bent, the image of a small boy staring out with impossible silver-gray eyes that mirrored Ethan's own. He bent and picked it up, his fingers brushing against the tiny picture like it was the most dangerous object in the world. "Who is this?" His voice was velvet and steel at once, calm but commanding. The question wasn't polite. It wasn't casual. It was an ultimatum. Nia's heart stuttered. She tried to rise, to explain, but her voice cracked. It's nothing. Just a family photo." Ethan's gaze didn't waver. He crouched closer to her, scanning her face for a hint of deception. "The eyes," he said quietly, almost to himself. "They're the same as mine." She felt the air grow heavy, her pulse hammering against her ribs. 3 years she had kept this secret hidden. 3 years she had carried it alone, working double shifts, studying late into the night, keeping her son, Leo, safe from a world that would never understand. And now it was out. I can't. It's complicated," she whispered, shaking. Ethan's hand rested lightly on the edge of the counter, his posture relaxed, but his aura was predatory. "Complicated? Is that what you call hiding a child from me? From his father?" Nia recoiled. The word cut sharper than a knife. Her secret, her carefully maintained world, was exposed in an instant. "No, he's my son. My responsibility. Your son," Ethan repeated, his tone softer but no less intense. "And you've been raising him alone?" Her eyes filled. "Yes, I've done everything. 2 jobs, night shifts, medication for my sister, school." She broke off, trembling. I can't let anyone interfere. He's just a child." Ethan's expression softened fractionally, and for the first time, Nia glimpsed something she didn't expect. Not the ruthless corporate heir or mafia boss she had heard whispered about in fear and awe. Something warmer, something human. "I can help," he said simply. "No conditions, no judgment, just a statement that sounded like a promise." Nia blinked, unsure if it was kindness or a trap. "Why would you care?" He tilted his head, gray eyes piercing through her doubt. "Because that boy," he said, glancing at the photo, "deserves better than the world you're giving him alone." Nia shook her head. "I don't need your money. I don't need your interference." Ethan's smile was faint but unwavering. "It's not interference. It's protection. You need rest, and so does he. I can provide that. Or you can continue, collapsing under pressure until one day it's too late." Her jaw clenched. Every instinct screamed to push him away. Yet something in his eyes, something familiar, something raw, made her hesitate. And in that moment, she realized she had no choice but to accept. "Fine," she said, her voice trembling, "but no strings. I don't want complications. No one can know about him. Ever." Ethan nodded once. Agreed, but I will know everything. And if anyone touches him... His voice dropped into a low growl, the kind that made people step back instinctively. They will regret it. The moment hung heavy. Around them, the restaurant began to buzz again, oblivious to the storm that had just erupted. Nia felt a shiver of fear and hope collide inside her. This man could destroy her life, or save it. Ethan straightened and handed the photo back. I'll need his name. And yours. Nia swallowed hard. Nia Carter. And he's... Leo. Leo, Ethan repeated, testing the sound. It fit perfectly on his tongue, and Nia wondered briefly if he had known the moment she spoke it. She wanted to pull back, to run, to hide. But exhaustion anchored her to the spot.
I'm just so worried about everything.
And then,
we'll figure it
for
out
reasons
together.
she couldn't explain,
You're not alone in this.
She felt a flicker of trust. Perhaps dangerous trust, but trust nonetheless. You'll need to rest tonight, Ethan said. I'll arrange a place for you and him, somewhere safe. No, Don't argue, he interrupted, firm but not cruel. You've done enough. Let me do the rest. Nia swallowed, her defenses trembling but breaking. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to do it all alone. 2 days later, Ethan's office revealed a side of him Nia never expected. The harsh lines of the corporate world were softened here by light streaming through wide windows, shelves lined with books of poetry, and quiet music playing in the background. He offered her tea, watched her hands carefully as she held the cup, and smiled in a way that felt human. Not a businessman, not a Mafia heir, just a man with curiosity and concern. You've changed, she said, almost before she could stop herself. He raised an eyebrow, amused. Have I? I've always been this composed. Nia laughed bitterly. Composed? You mean terrifying? He smirked. Terrifying to those who underestimate me. To others, perhaps intriguing. She wanted to push the conversation away, but it wouldn't let her. You remember me, she said, voice catching. From Bususan, the fair, 4 years ago. His gaze sharpened. I do. I remember everything, even the way you laughed when the fireworks started, and how I wanted to talk to you, but didn't. Her chest tightened. Memories she had buried for years surfaced, and she realized how much the past still clung to her heart. I didn't know you would ever what? Care, she admitted. Ethan didn't answer immediately. He simply handed her the tea, his fingers brushing hers in a brief, deliberate moment. I care now, he said finally, and I intend to make sure he's safe. I intend to make sure you are, too. Nia's throat constricted. She wanted to protest, to say she didn't need help, but the exhaustion in her bones, the fear in her heart, and the fragile hope in her chest left her silent. I'll meet him, Ethan said, eyes narrowing with determination. Your son, Leo. I'll meet him as a friend first, on his terms. She nodded, unable to trust fully, but unable to refuse. On his terms, she echoed. The park was quiet, sunlight dancing across the swings as Leo Carter ran ahead, small sneakers kicking up dust. Nia followed closely, her hands full of toys and snacks, nerves twisting like a knot in her stomach. She had no idea how Leo would react to Ethan Kwon, the man who had terrified her 2 days ago, the man whose eyes were like storm clouds and whose presence could command silence in a room full of people. Ethan was already there, standing near the sandbox with his signature calm. But this time, the gray storm in his eyes softened just enough to make Nia's heart stumble. He didn't approach too quickly, didn't reach out immediately. He waited, allowing Leo to notice him first. "Leo," Nia said gently, "this is, Ethan. He's a friend." Leo froze mid-step, tilting his head to examine the stranger. The little boy's silver-gray eyes widened, the same as Ethan's. And for a moment, Nia saw something flicker in Leo's gaze. Recognition? Curiosity? Fear? Ethan crouched slightly, his tone low and careful. "Hi, Leo. I'm a friend. Want to play with me?" Leo's small fingers tightened around his toy truck, then loosened as a cautious smile crept across his face. "Truck?" "Truck," Ethan echoed, kneeling to eye level. "Let's race them." The tension in Nia's chest eased slightly. Leo climbed into Ethan's lap, and for a few moments they built towers, pushed trucks, and exchanged shy smiles. Nia watched from a bench, her arms crossed, but her heart betraying her calm facade. She had feared this moment for years, handing her son to someone else, someone powerful, someone unpredictable. But Leo's laughter, soft and infectious, eased the anxiety she carried like armor. "You're really gentle with him," she said softly when Ethan glanced her way. "I've had practice," he replied, eyes on Leo. "But I want to be more than that. I want to be the kind of father he deserves, not just someone who shows up when convenient." Nia's heart tightened. The words were sincere, but trust wasn't something that could be given lightly. She nodded, biting her lip. "We'll see. Slowly. He decides the pace." Ethan smiled faintly, accepting the terms. "I can wait. But know this, I won't leave." A sudden shout startled them. One of the older children had knocked over a bicycle, and the crash made Leo flinch. Nia's hand went immediately to his shoulder, protective and tense. Ethan placed a calm hand over hers, steadying both. "He's okay," Ethan murmured, almost to himself. "I'll make sure nothing ever hurts him." Leo looked up at him, eyes wide, and something unspoken passed between them. A flicker of connection, a silent acknowledgement that this man could be trusted, at least a little. "Snack?" Nia asked, pulling out a small bag of crackers. Leo grabbed it eagerly, and Ethan helped distribute some to himself and Leo. Watching them interact, Nia felt a strange warmth. She realized that despite the fear, despite everything, this man wasn't a threat. He was an ally. "Mom says you're smart," Ethan said casually to Leo, trying to bridge the gap. "She told me you like stories." Leo nodded solemnly, crumbs on his lips. "I like stories and trucks." Ethan chuckled. "We can read stories, too. I've got a few at my place. Maybe you'd like that sometime?" Nia's chest tightened. She knew this offer carried implications, but Leo's laughter and curiosity told her it was the right choice. She nodded. "On his terms," she repeated softly. The day passed with small victories. Leo warmed more to Ethan, even offering a shy hug before they left the park. Nia drove home silently, her mind swirling. This man, this dangerous, feared man, had already begun to infiltrate the walls she had built around herself and Leo. 2 weeks later, the news hit. The cafe manager called her frantic, voice tight with disbelief. "Nia, have you seen this?" Nia snatched the phone. On the screen, a corporate scandal headline blared. "Kwon heir. Publicly linked to secret child. Family scandal unfolds." Her stomach dropped. She recognized the boy immediately. Leo. The photograph had been leaked. Somehow the world now knew what she had fought to keep hidden for years. Ethan entered her small apartment that evening, carrying groceries and the same calm storm in his eyes. He didn't speak immediately, letting the weight of the headline settle. Nia's hands shook as she scrolled through the comments, some cruel, some speculative, all relentless. Nia whispered, voice breaking. I tried to keep him safe. I did everything I could. Ethan knelt beside her on the couch, placing a steady hand over hers. I know. And now, we deal with it together. How? She asked. Everyone. The board. They'll want him away. They'll want you to send you away? Send him to boarding school? Ethan finished for her, jaw tightening. They can try, but they will not win. Not if I stand in the way. Nia blinked, caught between awe and fear. You mean it? He nodded. I mean it. I won't let anyone take him from us. I won't let anyone hurt you. Tears pooled in her eyes. She had never imagined a man like him, feared by many, could make a promise so raw, so unwavering. Yet here he was, a storm made flesh, willing to put everything on the line for her and her son. The following days were a blur of meetings, calls, and tense silences. Ethan hired the best lawyers, bracing for the custody battle that Uncle Junho had already initiated. Nia's apartment, once chaotic, became a controlled whirlwind of strategy, preparation, and quiet moments stolen between them. In those quiet moments, Ethan taught Leo how to make scrambled eggs, without spilling the pan, laughed at the boy's antics, and held Nia's hand when her nerves threatened to break her. The walls she had built for years started crumbling, brick by brick. Mom says he's scary, Leo said one morning, pointing at Ethan's broad frame. I am scary, Ethan admitted with a grin, but only to bad people. To you, I'm just someone who likes pancakes and trucks. Leo's small laugh echoed through the kitchen. Nia felt a soft warmth bloom in her chest. Maybe this was the life she had been fighting for. Dangerous, complicated, but filled with protection, love, and loyalty she had never imagined possible. The next morning, the world outside Nia's apartment seemed colder, harsher. Headlines screamed of the scandal. Kwon Heir's secret child exposed. Comments ranged from shock to disgust, and some were downright cruel. Nia couldn't read more than a few words without her stomach tightening. She felt trapped, vulnerable, and exposed, but most of all, afraid for Leo. Ethan arrived just as Leo toddled down the hallway in his little superhero cape, looking unbothered by the storm outside. The contrast between the boy's innocence and the chaos of the world made Nia's chest ache. Ethan knelt to greet Leo, smiling warmly. Ready for breakfast, little man. Pancakes, Leo shouted, running to him. Nia watched them, a lump in her throat. This man, feared by so many, was here, patient, gentle, protective. But outside, forces were moving she couldn't control. By mid-morning, the first threats came. A lawyer from the Kwon conglomerate arrived at their apartment, clipboard in hand, tone sharp and unyielding. Mr. Kwon, you are hereby requested to surrender custody of the child. You have 30 days to comply or face legal consequences. Ethan's eyes darkened. You'll be speaking to my attorneys from now on, he said coldly. The aura around him shifted, a dangerous calm that made even the lawyer swallow nervously. Nia bit her lip, unsure if she should intervene. We can't just give him away, she said, her voice trembling. He's my son. Ethan placed a steady hand on her shoulder. And he's mine, too. We fight together. The next few days were a whirlwind of legal maneuvering. Ethan hired the best lawyers in the city, prepared documents, and arranged evidence proving his paternal rights. Nia sat beside him during meetings, overwhelmed by the bureaucracy, but grateful for his presence. Each time her eyes welled, he would reach for her hand, grounding her, reminding her she wasn't alone. But the battle wasn't just legal. The whispers in the hallways, the stares in restaurants, the sudden avoidance of neighbors, it all added pressure. Nia felt it in every step she took, every time she walked Leo to the park. One evening, Mrs. Yoon, an elderly caretaker with a kind but piercing gaze, visited. She had been with the Kwon family for decades and had seen the darkness and cruelty within. "You worry too much," Mrs. Yoon said softly, observing Nia straighten a blanket on the couch. "He's a dangerous man, yes, but he is also capable of great change. And you," she looked at Nia with sharp eyes, "you have awakened something in him no one else could." Nia blinked. "Change? After everything he's done? Everything he is—" Mrs. Yoon placed a hand on hers. "People are not just their reputations. He will fight. For you. For Leo. And that is worth everything." Her words echoed in Nia's mind as she walked Leo to bed that night. Ethan hovered in the doorway, watching quietly. He hadn't spoken, hadn't intruded, but Nia felt his protective presence wrap around them like armor. "I'm scared," she whispered, brushing Leo's hair back. "I know," Ethan said softly from the doorway. "And that's okay. I'll handle them. You just, stay with him. Love him." Nia's heart throbbed at the raw sincerity in his voice. "I don't know if I can trust anyone like this," she admitted, almost ashamed. "You can trust me," he replied simply, gray eyes steady. "Because I am not just any man. I am his father, and I will protect my family. Always." The following week, the confrontation escalated. Uncle Junho stormed into Ethan's corporate office, red-faced and seething with authority. "You've disgraced the family," Junho shouted. "A secret child, publicly exposed. You will end this relationship and send the child away, or you will lose everything." Ethan's response was quiet, terrifying in its calmness. "I will not end anything. I will not send him away. My family comes before power, before legacy, before anything else." Junho's fists banged against the table. "You're insane. You're throwing away the Kwon name." "Not throwing away," Ethan corrected, voice low but resolute. "I am choosing what matters most. My son, my partner, my family. That is my legacy." Nia, standing in the office with him, felt her chest tighten. Every muscle in her body wanted to flee, to hide from the chaos that surrounded them, but Ethan's presence was like a shield. She didn't need to be afraid. He would not allow them to be harmed. The custody battle began in earnest. Ethan's lawyers moved swiftly, filing motions, presenting evidence, and countering Junho's every claim. Nia sat quietly in the courtroom, clutching Leo's hand, her heart pounding with every argument, every counterpoint. Ethan's eyes never left her, offering silent reassurance with each glance. Outside the courtroom, reporters hounded them, flashes going off, questions shouted. Nia felt exposed, small, but when she glanced at Ethan standing firm, she felt a spark of courage. He had chosen this fight for her and Leo, and that courage gave her strength. Late one night, after a long day of legal wrangling, Ethan cooked dinner for Leo. He had made pancakes, the kind with chocolate chips Leo loved. Nia watched from the doorway, hesitant to interrupt. "You're really good at this," she said softly. "I've had good teachers," he replied, flipping a pancake expertly. "But I want to do it for him. For you." Leo's laughter filled the kitchen, and Nia felt tears prick her eyes. It was a small moment, mundane and perfect in its simplicity. Here, away from the scandals, the threats, the headlines, there was safety, there was love, there was family. Later, Ethan pulled Nia aside. "I know you're scared," he whispered, "but you don't have to be. I won't let anyone hurt him. I won't let anyone hurt you. And you will never be alone again." Nia's lips trembled. "I've never felt this safe," she admitted. "You will," he said, brushing a stray hair from her face. "Because I am not just a man of power. I am a man of promises. And I promise you, nothing will tear us apart." The evening air was thick with anticipation. Nia tucked Leo into bed, his little eyes heavy with sleep, but still sparkling with curiosity. "Daddy will play trucks tomorrow, right?" he asked, tugging at her sleeve. Ethan, standing silently in the doorway, nodded. "Every single truck tomorrow, Leo. I promise." Nia watched the exchange, feeling a warmth she had never known before. But her heart tightened with a gnawing fear. The threats from Junho, the custody battles, the board's pressure, it hadn't gone away. And yet, Ethan's presence made her believe in something she hadn't dared to hope for: safety. As she turned to Ethan, he stepped closer, his gray eyes softer now, filled with something more than determination, something vulnerable. "Nia," he said quietly, "I can't just protect him. I can't just protect you. I want to protect us, forever." Her breath caught. "Ethan." He reached for her hand, holding it firmly, and for a heartbeat, the world outside ceased to exist. Will you marry me?" The question hung in the air, heavy with love, fear, and hope. Nia felt tears prick her eyes, but she smiled through them, nodding. Yes, I will." Ethan smiled, relief and joy mixing in his stormy gray gaze. He leaned down, pressing a soft, lingering kiss to her lips. The weight of years, of fear, of secrecy, melted away in that moment. For a brief second, everything felt possible. But that moment of peace shattered in an instant. The sound of shattering glass and violent footsteps outside Leo's bedroom door made them both spin. Masked figures stormed the apartment, and Nia's heart seized in terror. "Leo!" she shouted, throwing herself in front of him. Her small frame belied the ferocity in her movements. She swung, kicked, anything to keep him safe. Ethan moved like a shadow, silent, precise, lethal. Within seconds, he had disarmed 2 attackers, throwing them against the wall with bone-crushing force. Another lunged for Leo, but Ethan intercepted, his movements fluid, terrifyingly efficient. Nia fought beside him, adrenaline fueling her courage. This was the first time she had seen the full extent of Ethan's dangerous side, the man capable of commanding fear in boardrooms and back alleys alike. But here, it was different. It was controlled, calculated, protective. The masked assailants retreated at the sight of him, some leaving unconscious, others limping away. Breathless, Nia clutched Leo, her body trembling. Ethan crouched beside them, scanning the room, then gave her a steadying look. "They're gone," he said, voice calm but edged with warning. "But this was Junho. He's desperate, reckless, and he will try again." Nia's hands shook as she hugged Leo tightly. I thought I could handle this alone." "You don't have to," Ethan said firmly. "You never did. I will be here. Always." The next days blurred into a mix of police reports, legal maneuvering, and strategy meetings. Junho's warrant had been issued, his attempts at intimidation foiled. The Kwon conglomerate board remained furious, but Ethan refused to bow. He had chosen his family, and nothing, Not power, not legacy, not fear would make him surrender. Nia watched as he navigated the chaos with ease, teaching her that strength was not just physical, it was the courage to stand, to fight, and to love fiercely. 6 months later, life had begun to settle into a new rhythm. Ethan had been ousted from the Kwon board, starting a smaller, legitimate company focused on charity and family-friendly ventures. Nia completed her pre-med studies and prepared to enter medical school, the stress of survival replaced by the hope of a future she had only dared dream of. Leo thrived in preschool, his laughter filling the halls of their modest home. Ethan made breakfast every morning, guiding Leo's tiny hands as they cooked pancakes, stories of trucks and adventures spilling across the kitchen like sunlight. One quiet afternoon, Mrs. Yoon watched them from the doorway, her sharp eyes softened with approval. "You've changed him," she said to Nia. "From a man feared by many to a father who will move mountains for his son. You have changed him." Nia smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from Leo's face. "We changed each other," she admitted. "It's not perfect, but it's real." Ethan approached silently, wrapping his arms around her and pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. "Perfect isn't what we have. Love is, and I choose it. Every day." The weeks passed with quiet, chaotic, happy moments. Then one evening, Nia sat with a small smile, her hand resting on her stomach. "Ethan, we're going to have another baby," she whispered. Ethan's gray eyes softened, awe and joy mingling in a way that made her chest ache. He held her hand over her stomach, smiling gently. "Our family. It just keeps growing," he said. Leo peeked over the couch armrest, silver gray eyes wide. "A baby?" "Yes," Nia said, laughing softly. "A little brother or sister for you." Leo grinned, bouncing excitedly. Ethan scooped him up, spinning him around. "Looks like you'll have a partner in crime soon," he said, voice filled with warmth. The family shared a quiet moment together, the chaos of the past months far behind them. Headlines, scandals, and threats could not touch the bond they had forged. Love, respect, and commitment had created something stronger than fear, something unbreakable. As the sun set, bathing the room in amber light, Nia felt a profound sense of gratitude. For her son, for the man who had fought beside her, for the life they had built together despite the odds. She leaned against Ethan's chest, watching Leo play with his trucks on the floor, laughter spilling freely. "This," she whispered, "this is everything I ever wanted." Ethan kissed her forehead, holding her close. "Everything we deserve," he said. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not power, not money, not legacy. Only family, only love, only the choice to show up every day for each other, through danger, scandal, and fear. If you've enjoyed this story of courage, love, and transformation, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more gripping stories, and comment below. What part had you on the edge of your seat? Trust me, there's so much more drama, love, and excitement coming your way.